Hello everyone, and welcome to Box Office Receipts, where we have a jam-packed episode. We got more sales from Sundance, we got new movies in development, box office numbers, and of course we have the Oscar nominations. First, let's talk about the domestic top 5. We got a quiet weekend at the box office with Mean Girls staying in first place with $11.7 million. For a total of $50 million. Second place was The Beekeeper with $8.4 million for a total of $31.1 million. In third place was Wonka with another $6.4 million for a total now of $187.1 million. Fourth place was Anyone But You with $5.4 million for a total of $64.2 million. And in fifth place was Migration with $5.3 million for a total of $94.6 million. So while it was a quiet weekend, good numbers all around for everyone. For Paramount, the numbers for Mean Girls could have been a bit better, but since this was originally meant to go straight to Paramount Plus, it's not doing that bad at all. And they start off the year on the right foot, while a possible sale looms over the studio. Amazon MGM looks to have a mid-size hit on their hands with The Beekeeper, only dropping 49% from its opening weekend. And for Sony, Anyone But You continues to do well. For China's box office, Johnny Keep Walking came in first place with another $15 million for a total of $134 million. Rob and Roll opened in second place with $12.1 million. In third place was The Goldfinger with $3.8 million for a total of $64.6 million. Fourth place was The Beekeeper with $2.3 million for a total now of $9.5 million. And fifth place was Follow Bear for Action with $1.8 million for a total of $9.1 million. As for Hollywood films being approved, Madame Web has been given the green light and will come to Chinese theaters on March 1st. Taking a look at worldwide numbers, The Beekeeper earned $14.2 million for a worldwide total of $75.3 million. Anyone But You passed the $100 million milestone, with it now at $100.2 million worldwide after earning $10.6 million. Sony must be really happy with these numbers. Aquaman and Lost Kingdom earned $9.5 million for a worldwide total of $396.2 million. With this, it has now passed Black Adam to be the highest grossing DCEU movie since the first Aquaman, which came out at the end of 2018. Which, wow, the last few years have not really been kind to this franchise. Also, it is a lock to pass $400 million worldwide, so while the film has had a rocky start, audiences did keep coming out to see it and will end up only as a small disappointment financially at the box office. Don't get it mistaken, while it held on well the last few weeks and won't be a straight up bomb, and as for its final film, the DCEU did not crater. The film is not making a profit based on the box office alone. It will need strong VOD and Blu-ray sales to do that. Now, if it made $500, $600 million at the box office, that'd be a different story. Speaking of a movie making that much, Wonka has earned $10.6 million for a worldwide total of $531.8 million. Mean Girls earned $7.5 million for a worldwide total of $66.3 million. Poor Things is now at $33.7 million worldwide. Napoleon is at $218.3 million worldwide. And Wish is now at $233.2 million worldwide. In South Korea, La La Land is getting a re-release on IMAX screens for 1 week, starting January 31st. We also got an official release date for Oppenheimer in Japan, with it set to come to theaters on March 29th. Tenet is also getting a re-release, with Warner Brothers announcing that the film will come back to IMAX screens for 1 week, starting on February 23rd. There will also be a sneak peek of Dune Part 2 attached to it as well. Lionsgate has set a release date for The Unbreakable Boy, with it now set to come out February 21st, 2025. In an exclusive from Deadline, they are reporting that Disney is moving a film that was meant to go straight to Disney Plus and give it a theatrical release first. The film is Young Woman and the Sea, starring Daisy Ridley. Instead of heading straight to the streamer, it will first hit theaters on May 31st and then release it on Disney Plus over the summer. Disney is also planning to market the film around the Summer Olympics, since it is about the first woman who swam across the English Channel. From Monkey Paw and Universal, Monkey Man will hit theaters on April 5th. The film is directed and stars Dev Patel in what it looks to be a very well done action film. This is also Patel's directorial debut. Now, this film had an odd journey, as originally was over at Netflix, but after Jordan Peele saw it, he pushed for it to get a theatrical release, so he bought it. Well, specifically Monkey Paw, his production company bought it, and now Universal will distribute. I'm curious how that worked out, though. Like, how much did Monkey Paw have to pay Netflix to get the rights to the film? Not sure, but hey, look, they released the first trailer for this as well. It does look good, and I'm looking forward to watching it. From Amazon MGM Studios, Zoe Kravitz's directorial debut is also headed to theaters. Her film, a thriller called Blink Twice, will hit theaters on August 23rd. The film stars Channing Tatum and Naomi Ackie. At Sundance, films are being bought, with Deadline having the exclusive on basically what seems to be all the sales being done. They're putting in a lot of work here. So for the next few, they all broke the news first. You don't need to hear me say, oh, Deadline exclusive and all that. No, they broke all the stories here for the Sundance stuff. So first up, Neon has bought Presence, a new thriller movie directed by Steven Soderbergh and stars Lucy Liu. Netflix also bought themselves a thriller, spending a reported $17 million for the worldwide rights to It's What's Inside. The movie is directed and written by Greg Chardin. The streamer also bought a documentary called Skywalker's A Love Story, with it focusing on a couple who make death-defying climbs around the world, even as their relationship starts to fall apart. Warner Brothers is close to wrapping up a deal to buy Superman, the Christopher Reeve story. This is a documentary focused on the actor's activism and finding purpose after he was paralyzed. It's also being reported that the deal is for around $15 million. It would be awkward if Warner Brothers let this slip by, considering he did play Superman in the original movies. It really seems like a perfect fit. Amazon MGM also is about to close a deal on a film called My Old Ass. It's directed by Megan Park and stars Aubrey Plaza and Maisie Stella. Right now, Amazon MGM are planning a theatrical release for it in the United States and Canada, while an international rollout is not set yet. In other deals not at Sundance, Deadline is exclusively reporting that Amazon MGM has gotten some distribution rights to Levon's Trade. This is the film directed by David Ayer, written by Sylvester Stallone, and stars Jason Statham. Amazon MGM have bought the domestic rights as well as the streaming rights in a few international markets. For the United States, they are planning on giving it a theatrical release, and then I would assume a release on Prime Video. Filming begins this spring. Now, before we get to other movies, we need to stick with Amazon MGM for a minute, because if you've noticed, we just talked about a few movies that they're working on that will get a theatrical release. One upcoming movie not heading to theaters is Roadhouse. Amazon MGM released the first trailer for the film, directed by Doug Liman, and it stars Jake Gyllenhaal, and confirmed that it will head straight to Prime Video on March 21st. Deadline then broke the news that the movie would open South by Southwest on March 8th. Director Doug Liman is very upset with this, having announced that he will not go to the premiere of his movie at South by Southwest, and he even wrote a guest column at Deadline explaining his side of the story. Basically, as we know, this was an MGM film before Amazon bought MGM. So when everything was in production, the plan at MGM was it would go to theaters. After Amazon bought the studio, apparently they told him to make a good movie and we will see what happens. Well, Lehman says that in testing the film with audiences, it was a smash hit, so you would think it would go to theaters, but it's not. Here is part of the director's column at Deadline. Quote, "We made Roadhouse a smash hit." Amazon's words, not mine, by the way. Roadhouse tested higher than my biggest box office hit, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. It tested higher than Born Identity, which spawned 4 sequels. I'm told the press response has been Amazon's best since they bought MGM, end quote. I feel bad for him, as well as the cast and crew, about this, because when it was just MGM, they all signed up for a theatrical release. And I'm really curious as to why Amazon MGM is not budging on this. I take it they have some data from Prime Video showing it would be a smash hit or something, or maybe because they inherited this movie from MGM, they don't care for it much, right? The movies they're buying or developing now, they're like, I don't know, maybe more ownership over it. Like they care for more because it's their choice, right? They got this movie along with the purchase. Or look, it could be a bad movie. We won't know till it comes out. We'll see. Going back to other movie deals, Deadline is exclusively reporting that Focus Features won a bidding war for Black Bag. The spy thriller will be directed by Steven Soderbergh with a script from David Koepp and will star Kate Blanchett and Michael Fassbender. Just based on this alone, I'm already interested. Lionsgate and Roadside Attractions have bought a film, with Deadline exclusively reporting that they have purchased the distribution rights for Boy Kills World, starring Bill Skarsgård and Michelle Dockery. They have also set a theatrical release date of April 26th. For movies in production, Deadpool 3 has wrapped up filming with both Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman posting about it on social media. I'm looking forward to seeing a trailer for it, hopefully soon. It is set to come out July 26th. Wicked also wrapped up production with Ariana Grande posting about it on Instagram. Part 1 is set to come out November 27th. As for a new movie that is in development, Universal isn't letting this franchise rest for long, and that is we got a new Jurassic World movie in development. The Hollywood Reporter is exclusively reporting that the studio is already working on it, and they have hired David Koepp to write the script. You might just remember him from literally a minute ago about the Black Bag movie. Very busy. He did write the script for Jurassic Park and The Lost World. Not only that, the studio is looking to fast track this with a release for sometime in 2025. I'm surprised, to be honest, that they're looking to release it next year, which means, look, considering the previous releases, they want it out during the summer movie season, June, July-ish, right? Which means they have to do casting, find a director, and start filming in the next 3 to 4 months, realistically. Personally, I don't see it. I'm expecting this to be pushed back to 2026, but we'll see. Deadline has an exclusive update on the new Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan movie. As the bidding for it heats up, as of now, the 3 left are Warner Brothers, Universal, and Sony. It looks like they are also hoping to close the deal soon, as Deadline is also reporting that they want to start filming this summer. Deadline is also exclusively reporting that Ketchup Entertainment has bought the distribution rights to Goodrich. This is a film directed by Haley Myers-Shire and stars Michael Keaton and Mila Kunis. Ketchup Entertainment is planning a theatrical release for the film. In another exclusive from Deadline, they are reporting that Ethan Coen's next film is a comedy called Honey Don't. It'll be made at Focus Features, where his upcoming film Drive Away Dolls is about to come out. Honey Don't will star Margaret Qualley, Aubrey Plaza, and Chris Evans. Deadline is also exclusively reporting that Amazon MGM is working on a new movie called Razzlecan. I believe we have talked about this one before. This is the film based on the New York Times article about a couple who stole $3 billion in cryptocurrency before getting caught by the U.S. Department of Justice. Sounds familiar, but anyway, I'm definitely interested in watching it. Hannah Marks will write and direct. Amazon MGM also just bought a new sci-fi film that will go into production. Deadline is exclusively reporting that they bought Mercy, which will be directed by Timu Berkmanpatov, and will star Chris Pratt as a detective who needs to prove his innocence. For casting updates, Coleman Domingo is joining the Michael Jackson biopic, playing the role of the singer's father, Joe Jackson. Daniel Richman is exclusively reporting that Marvel Studios is looking at signing Louis Pullman to replace Steven Yeun in Thunderbolts. While it has not been officially confirmed what his role was, all rumors pointed to playing the antagonist Sentry. Matthew McConaughey is in talks to star in Paul Greengrass's next film, The Lost Bus, for Apple Original Films. The film will be about the campfire back in 2018 that became the deadliest wildfire in California history. Deadline has the exclusive on the next 3 casting stories. They broke the news that Glenn Powell is signing on to star in the upcoming thriller Huntington. This comes from the director of Emily the Criminal, John Patton Ford, and is produced by Studio Canal. Also, while not a done deal yet, they are also reporting that A24 is in talks to buying the domestic distribution rights to it. Production is set to begin in the summer. Gillian Anderson has joined the cast of Tron Ares in an undisclosed role. The film also stars Jared Leto, Greta Lee, and Jodie Turner-Smith. And Edward Norton is signing on to join the Bob Dylan movie, directed by James Mangold. He will play the role of Pete Seeger. Production is set to begin in March. Sadly, there were a few deaths this week. David Gale died at the age of 58 due to complications from sudden cardiac arrest. He was most known for his roles in the TV shows Port Charles and Beverly Hills 90210. Charles Osgood died at the age of 91 due to dementia. While not an actor, he did host the CBS show Sunday Morning for over 20 years. Cary Graham died at the age of 73. He was known for his role in Star Trek Enterprise, and he appeared in other shows and films as well, including Nip Tuck, Jag, and All the Right Moves. Tom Johnson died at the age of 55. He was a comedian and a writer, having worked on The Daily Show for years. Norman Jewison died at the age of 97. The director made numerous films, including Fiddlers on the Roof, In the Heat of the Night, Moonstruck, and more. David Emerge died at the age of 77. He was most known for his role as the zombie pilot in Dawn of the Dead that came out back in 1978. Michael I. Levy died at the age of 84 due to complications from COVID pneumonia. He was a talent representative in the industry and worked with numerous people, including Stan Lee, Marlon Brando, and Michael Mann. And Margaret Riley died at the age of 58 due to ovarian cancer. She worked in Hollywood for over 30 years and was most recently a producer on the movie Bombshell. Thoughts and prayers go out to their family during this terrible time. And fuck cancer. In other news, Paramount Global CEO Bob Bakish confirmed in a memo to staff that there would be more layoffs at the company worldwide. He did not provide any more details beyond that. Hopefully, the layoffs are as small as possible. Ahead of the upcoming layoffs, Maria Kyrakou is leaving the company. She was the president of broadcast and studios as well as international markets. As for why she is leaving, it is due to Paramount cutting down on producing shows where they focus on international audiences and instead produce shows based on the company's IP that has a global audience. In exclusive from Deadline, they're reporting that John M. Chu, along with his production company Electric Somewhere Co., has signed a first-look deal with Warner Brothers. With the studio, he has previously directed Crazy Rich Asians and In the Heights, and is working on an animation adaptation of Dr. Seuss's Oh, the Place is Yoko. Tessa Thompson and her production company Viva Mod have signed a first-look deal with Amazon MGM Studios. In the exclusive from Deadline, they are reporting that Sony will be skipping CinemaCon this year. This is the event where studios show off what's coming to theater owners. The last time they did not attend was back in 2019. For trailers, Neon released a trailer for Immaculate. This is a psychological thriller directed by Michael Mullen and stars Sydney Sweeney. It comes out in theaters on March 22nd. And finally, we have the Oscar nominations for the 96th Academy Awards. Going by films, Oppenheimer got the most with 13 nominations, followed by Poor Things with 11, Killers of the Flower Moon with 10, and Barbie at 8. If we go by distributor, Netflix came in first with 18 nominations thanks to Maestro, Nyad, and Society of the Snow. Apple Original Films, Universal, and Searchlight for Disney got 13 noms each. As for the Best Picture nominees, they are in alphabetical order: American Fiction, Anatomy of a Fall, Barbie, Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro, Oppenheimer, Past Lives, Poor Things, The Holdovers, and The Zone of Interest. These nominations were the most expected for the most part, while there were other films with a push to get nominated like Saltburn and Origin. Those were more dark horses in the race and would have been a surprise if they got in. I would say Oppenheimer is the clear favorite to win here. If I had to pick a movie not Oppenheimer to win, I would go with Past Lives. As for the other categories, it'll be easier to go over the snubs and surprises than list everyone nominated, as the nominees have been pretty similar throughout the award season. Like take Best Actor, for example, both Cillian Murphy and Paul Giamatti were nominated, and they are the two favorites to win. For acting snubs, there were a few. Personally, I think Greta Lee not being nominated in Best Actress for Past Lives is a pretty big snub right there. She was doing pretty well so far, being nominated in a lot of the awards running up to this and even winning a few. Also for the category, Margot Robbie was not nominated for Best Actress either for Barbie. That one caused a lot of surprise and issues online. Ryan Gosling also came out and mentioned it, as Greta Gerwig was also not nominated for Best Director as well. Meanwhile, Gosling was nominated for his role as Ken in the Best Supporting Actor category. Quote, "I am extremely honored to be nominated by my colleagues alongside such remarkable artists in a year of so many great films, and I never thought I'd be saying this, but I'm also incredibly honored and proud that it's for portraying a plastic doll named Ken. But there is no Ken without Barbie, and there is no Barbie movie without Greta Gerwig and Margot Robbie, the two people most responsible for this history-making, globally celebrated film. No recognition would be possible for anyone on the film without their talent, grit, and genius. To say that I'm disappointed that they are not nominated in their respective categories would be an understatement." End quote. Now, Gerwig is nominated for Barbie, but as a writer for the screenplay. Another surprise is May December almost being basically shut out. While it was clear early on that it was not in the running for a Best Picture nomination, Netflix pivoted and did a big push on focusing on acting nominations for Portman, Moore, and Melton. None of them were nominated. Instead, the only nomination it got was for Best Original Screenplay. Still something, it is, but not what Netflix was hoping for when they bought the film. For Best Animated Feature Film, The Boy and the Heron was nominated, which at least I was surprised about. I'm glad it did, but I was a little surprised. Typically, anime films are not nominated, and while I was hoping Suzume would get a nom, I knew that was highly unlikely. Other surprises, but good ones, were Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 getting 2 nominations, one for visual effects and one for sound, and Godzilla Minus One also got nominated for Best Visual Effects as well. Deadline spoke to a few of the nominees and got their initial reactions. From Cillian Murphy, he said, quote, "I feel really privileged and I feel really lucky to be in a film that's connected with people in a way that it has critically and commercially. To be in a film that people have seen 3 and 4 and 5 times and they come up to you and tell you that," end quote. While Celine Song was not nominated for Best Director, she was nominated for Best Original Screenplay for her film Past Lives. Talking to Deadline, she said, quote, "It's just so amazing. It's such a great honor. And on the first movie, I think that's really the coolest thing," end quote. And Bradley Cooper also talked to Deadline and said, quote, "I really didn't know that we were going to get anything today, so the fact that we got 7 nominations is incredible," end quote. So overall, I think this year is a great list of nominees and should be a good award show to watch. The Oscars air on March 10th. For VOD Premium, let's start out with Amazon Prime Video announced that the second half of Invincible Season 2 premieres on March 14th. This will be the remaining 4 episodes of the season. Hopefully, the release for the 3rd season does not take forever. In exclusive from Variety, they are reporting that Tom Hopper has been cast in a series regular role for the upcoming Terminal List prequel Dark Wolf. Prime Video has a new show called Expats that is about to premiere on the 26th. The series stars Nicole Kidman living in Hong Kong and is made by Lulu Wang. So far, it has gotten good reviews with it at 83% on Rotten Tomatoes. Also, as a heads up, Prime Video will start having ads on January 29th. You will need to pay an additional $2.99 per month to keep it being ad-free. Over at Paramount Plus, they have canceled Wolfpack after 1 season. Also for Paramount overall, they were able to sign Jon Stewart back to The Daily Show. I was thinking he would land with a new show at Netflix, but I was wrong. However, it is not full-time. Stewart will be back hosting the show starting February 12th, but only on Mondays, and at least for now, up until the election. Still, this is a shot in the arm of Comedy Central's most known show besides South Park, and for Paramount Plus, this will probably get a lot of people to watch The Daily Show again. Will it help bring in a lot of new subscribers? Probably not. But for Paramount, if it can keep their current subscribers engaged and watching ads, then it's not a bad thing either. Charter is expanding, offering streaming services to their cable customers. They have just renewed the carriage agreement with Televisa Univision, and as part of the terms of the agreement, select Charter, or I should say Spectrum customers, since that is the name of the cable service, will get the ad tier version of VIX when it launches later this year. Specifically, it will be for customers who have the Televisa Univision channels via the Spectrum TV Select or My Plan Latino package. I take it they will continue to ask other companies as their carriage agreements come up for renewal. Over in India, Sony is ending trying to merge its TV and streaming businesses with Zee Entertainment. This comes after 2 years of negotiations in trying to finalize the terms of the merger. Zee is saying that Sony is now also looking for $90 million for a termination fee because of what happened. On top of this, Reuters is reporting that Zee is walking away from a deal they made with Disney for cricket rights, with part of the reason being they can't afford it. Sources are telling Reuters that they have already missed a payment for $200 million to Disney, so now they are walking away. Zee seems to be in a bit of a mess right now. For Apple TV Plus, their big new series is now available to watch, called Masters of the Air. So far, it's gotten good reviews with it at 86% on Rotten Tomatoes. Sadly, Channel 4 has confirmed that they will be laying off 200 employees. This comes as part of their refocus on becoming a digital-first public streamer by 2030. Hopefully, those affected will be able to land on their feet quickly. And we were wondering if Snoop Dogg's film The Underdogs was going to be any good since it was pulled from a theatrical release. Turns out it's not that great. Reviews have started to come in, and it's been pretty bad. It's now at a 40% on Rotten Tomatoes. Now let's talk about Peacock, as Comcast's quarterly numbers are out. The streamer now has 31 million subscribers, adding 3 million overall for the quarter. Peacock is still losing money, but like other quarters, less than before. For the quarter, it lost $825 million, but that is down from this time last year where it lost $978 million for that quarter. And while the company did not say exactly how many new customers signed up because of the NFL wildcard game, they did mention the streamer is seeing record levels of hours streamed since the game, which would mean that the new customers have signed up, have started to take a look at what else is to watch, and they're staying engaged. And it makes sense because Ted became the top series for Peacock after like a week, right? Premiered same time the NFL game. As for what's coming to Disney Plus in February, The Marvels will hit the streaming service on February 7th, and starting on February 21st, the final season of Star Wars The Bad Batch starts airing. Nielsen has compiled together the top 10 charts for the entire year of 2023, and it should come as no surprise that first place overall was Suits. Your answer should have been Suits if you were taking a guess. We've never talked about this show as much as we did thanks to the streaming numbers. It racked up, Nielsen is saying it racked up 57.7 billion minutes watched. Second place was Bluey with 43.9 billion minutes. And in third place was, surprisingly, NCIS with 39.4 billion minutes watched. For streaming originals, Ted Lasso came in first place with 16.9 billion minutes. The Night Agent came in second place with 14.4 billion minutes. And Jeannie and Georgia came in third with 13.8 billion minutes watched. Now let's finish up with Netflix, where they are having a lot going on. First, let's take a look at the latest numbers from the top 10 chart for the week of January 15th to the 21st. For movies, Lift stayed in first place with another 36.7 million views. In second place was The Legend of Tarzan with 7.9 million views. This is a Warner Brothers film from a few years ago. And in third place was the Netflix film The Kitchen, which debuted to 5.6 million views. For TV shows, American Nightmare came in first with 21.4 million views. Fool Me Once came in second with 11.2 million views. And Boy Swallows Universe came in third with 4 million views. There is a new movie in development at Netflix called Animals. It's a thriller that'll be directed by Ben Affleck and will star Matt Damon. Sounds like it'll be a good watch. Netflix confirmed that Squid Game Season 2 will premiere later in the year. I know they just can't wait for it to come back. Netflix has made another deal with Warner Brothers Discovery for more HBO content. This time it is Sex and the City. The deal only includes the original show, not the movies or the recent Max series. Also, it'll only be available to watch on Netflix in the United States and a few European markets. This is not a worldwide buy. It'll be available on Netflix starting in April. In an exclusive from Variety, they're reporting that Allison Janney is joining the second season of The Diplomat. The show is set to return later in the year. Netflix also released 3 trailers this week. First, a new look at the upcoming live-action adaptation of Avatar: The Last Airbender. The first season will have 8 episodes and come out February 22nd. The second trailer is for Mea Culpa. This is a crime thriller movie directed and written by Tyler Perry. It is set to come out February 23rd. They also released the first trailer for Ripley, a thriller series starring Andrew Scott. I will say it looks pretty interesting, and it looks like the entire show will be in black and white as well, based on from what we can see in the trailer. It comes out April 4th. And in what I think is one of the biggest moves Netflix has done in a while is that they are massively increasing their live streaming slate by adding wrestling. Specifically, they have signed a deal with TKO for WWE's Monday Night Raw, as well as other shows. The way it works is starting in January 2025, Raw will be available to watch on Netflix Live in the United States, UK, Canada, and Latin America, with other territories being added over time. Along with that, outside the United States, Netflix customers will be able to watch just about everything else from the WWE. That includes SmackDown, NXT, documentaries, and pay-per-view events like WrestleMania. As for why those will not be available in the United States, that's because of how their rights are set up right now. For example, last year TKO and WWE signed a 5-year deal with NBC Universal for SmackDown. As for the Netflix deal, it is a 10-year deal with Netflix paying $500 million per year. They do get an opt-out clause after 5 years, so if the viewership isn't good enough for them, they are not stuck paying the full 10 years. But also, on the other side, if it turns out to be really good for them, like numbers are just popping off, they also have the option of extending it another 10 years. This is a big move for Netflix because while they have been working on increasing their live streaming, it has so far only been select events. With this deal starting next year, they will have live streaming content every single week. Notable, this has been a busy week for TKO, which owns the WWE. Right after this deal was announced, the company announced that Dwayne Johnson has joined the board of directors, and as part of this, they're giving him full ownership of the Rock trademark. And along with all this, a former WWE employee, is suing Vince McMahon and John Laurinaitis, alleging they abused and sexually assaulted her while she was working at the company. I've read parts of the lawsuit, and it's disgusting. And if it turns out to be true, they should go to jail for what they did to her. Now, getting back to Netflix, you can see the company is starting to focus more on live content, and well, maybe some might not like that. Scott Stuber, who is the head of Netflix Films, is leaving the company in March. He is going to work on starting his own media company. Stuber has been a head of films at Netflix since 2017, and it's been reported that him leaving has been in the works for a while, with the main reason being the differences between him, Ted Sarandos, and Bella Bajaria on films. Stuber wanted to focus on more big budget, big franchise films and release them in theaters, like how other streamers are doing it now, while Sardanos and Bajaria wanted to keep it the way it is now, with films going straight to Netflix. Sardanos released a statement about the news. Quote, Scott has helped lead a new paradigm on how movies are made, distributed, and watched. He attracted unbelievable creative talent to Netflix, making us a premier film studio. Under his leadership, we've become the most nominated studio for 3 years in a row at the Academy Awards, including 8 Best Picture nominations, 2 Best International Feature Oscars, 2 Best Documentary Feature Oscars, and our first Best Animated Feature Oscar. Scott, thank you for your leadership and friendship, and I can't wait to see what's next. End quote. I think as years go by post Stuber leaving, we will see a bit of a change in what Netflix produces for movies. I think they're still going to make a good amount of them, but I think there will be less big blockbuster style movies, and especially ones with big budgets of $200 million. As the company focuses on keeping their customers watching, it is more cost effective to spend $200 million on a TV series that can go 6-8 hours long versus a 2.5 hour movie. Now let's talk about the quarterly earnings from Netflix, where they had a fantastic quarter. They blew past expectations for subscriber growth, adding 13 million for a total now of 260.28 million worldwide. Revenue grew 12% as well year over year. In regards to their mobile games, the company noted that the customer engagements tripled in 2023, and in a complete shock, the Grand Theft Auto trilogy was the biggest launch in regards to their mobile games. Complete shock, let me tell you. Completely surprised. And Netflix will also be ending the basic plan without ads completely. Earlier in 2023, they stopped allowing customers to sign up for it, but now customers on those plans will have to switch to either the ad tier or one of the ad-free tiers. This will start in Q2 of 2024, first with customers in the UK and in Canada. And that's it for this long, big episode of Box Office Receipts. If you want to follow me on Threads, X, or Facebook, links to those are in the show notes. Thank you for listening, and see you next time.